back here on the Bossman Man show here with Coach Todd Golden here of the USF Dons out of the West Coast Conference. Coach, how you doing, man? Good to talk to you again.
I'm doing great. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on like always.
Yes, indeed. Well, Coach, talk to us, man. How was it in March for you guys? I know for me, it's my birthday. March 11th is my birthday. Everything kind of shut down on my birthday, right? So where were you guys at March 11th, man, in that whole week? And how did that transition go for you guys going on campus to being virtual? How was that, man?
It was a crazy week, one like I've never experienced before in my life. You know, we had just finished wrapping up a really tough game against Gonzaga in the conference tournament. You know, we lost by 4 points in the semis, and we were coming home and really we were just getting ready for the NIT. You know, we were told that we were going to be in the field, and so we were prepping for that. And then just like a bag of bricks, that thing dropped, and you know, within 3 or 4 days, the whole school was, you know, off campus and everything had moved to virtual learning. And, you know, I'm really proud of our guys for the way they handled it. They handled it with a lot of maturity, you know, finished really strong in the classroom in the spring, and they didn't let it phase them too much. But I know it was really difficult for them to have their season cut short, especially for the seniors that graduated. And it was just one of those things that you just can't prepare for it, right? I mean, once in maybe 100 years type thing. So with all that being said, it was good to see our guys finish strong academically, and it's great to have everybody on our squad back now.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that academically going from in-person to virtual learning. You have the black boys and kind of keep up with the blackboard and here to hold them accountable for missing class. If they can't make them go run all the run for you if you miss a class. So how was that keeping the guys accountable to the schoolwork, being at home in their own environments? Because I know kids at 20 years old may be like, hey, I'm at home, I can skip this or this assignment. So how was it keeping them accountable to that, man? I know it had to be difficult for a little bit there.
No, you know what? Honestly, our guys were really good, and a big part of it is, you know, we kind of sift through and filter a lot of that in the recruiting process. You know, we like getting guys that care about class and want to be graduates, and guys that are high achievers. You know, they obviously want to succeed on the court, but they're proud of doing well in the classroom as well. So it really wasn't that difficult. You know, we obviously stressed the importance of making sure they were on every call and didn't let anything slide, but they did a very good job of kind of self-checking themselves and making sure that they finish strong.
Most definitely. And how did you guys manage where some of them couldn't work out in the summertime or do anything basketball-wise? So how did you kind of manage that with your young men, kind of keep them in some kind of semi-shape until they got back to you? So how did that go for you guys over the spring and summer here?
Yeah, it was tough. You know, we were able to get our guys back in the middle of the summer, and we had to really gradually work our way back into the gym. You know, we had to do a lot of our training, our strength and conditioning outside for the first month or so, which, you know, was interesting and it was new. And I think that newness made it pretty fresh for the guys and it kept them focused. But again, they took a really workmanlike approach to the way of the individual workouts that we had to start with, one ball, one basket. And then we gradually, as we proved that we could maintain our health, we were able to get more and more guys in there. To the point where today, you know, on October 14th, we had our first official practice with our full squad in the gym. So it wasn't easy, but, you know, it was one of those things where we knew other people were dealing with a lot of the same stuff. So, you know, we didn't feel sorry for ourselves or make excuses, and we just kept working.
Most definitely, and I feel like it's good because season starts November 25th, so we got 6 weeks away from it getting started. So I know you don't want to avoid those soft tissue injuries. The guys can nag them all year long. So is the ramp up being kind of gradual and slow, even though you got them all on the court together, maybe just shooting drills and not so much up and down, so you avoid that nagging ankle or knee that doesn't go away all year long?
No, you hit it on the head. That was one of the big things that we recognized as we watched EuroLeague soccer, to be honest, as it was coming back. There was a lot of soft tissue injuries, a lot of hamstring injuries, and guys that were dealing with that. So we really kind of systematically built out our approach and took our time getting back our cardio and our strength. And that was our main focus for about the first 6 weeks. Very light basketball, you know, shooting, skill stuff, but not a lot of contact. We really wanted to make sure our bodies were back in shape before we got back to the basketball.
And for you, Coach Golden, you know, year one, over 20 wins, year one. How did it make you feel being the first time head coach getting 20 wins in year one, which is rare indeed one to do, and the conference tough as yours. So how was that, man? Finishing fifth in that conference, but being over 20 wins in year one.
Yeah, it was. I was super fortunate to be able to take over for Kyle when he left to go to Washington State because the program was really really healthy, and to credit to my staff too for being able to keep this group together because we thought we would have a good team if we were able to do that, and we did. And we had some ups and we had some downs, and I was really proud of the way we sustained. And when we hit the rough patches, we didn't let it affect us too strongly, and that's we were playing our best basketball at the end of the season. I think we won 5 out of our last 6 games as we were gearing up to go to the NIT. So, I learned a lot. There were times where I felt really confident, and there were times where I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. But at the end of the day, it felt like we had a pretty successful season. So I'm just really appreciative of our administration and my staff. I thought my staff did a great job. I have 3 really, really talented assistant coaches. And, just having them in practice with me every day gave me the confidence to really guide this program.
And how was it for you going through that year one? I talked about when we first got hired, the adjustment moving over 6 inches is adjustment. So how was the adjustment for you going through it? Actually, for some talk last year, we first got hired. So how was that adjustment for you, handling all the delegation and staff meetings, practice plans? Where you're the guy making the call, not doing suggestions anymore. You're making the call now and pulling the trigger on these things. How was that?
Yeah, it was. There were some times where it was stressful. I was definitely a lot more tired this year. I kind of had to work to make sure I took care of myself and my body and made sure I ate right and exercised and did all these little, self-help things to make sure that, I was able to stay on my game. But again, like I didn't change a whole lot when I got the job. There was obviously some tweaks here and there, some adjustments that we made within our program. But, overall, it was really just kind of stay the course and really focus on what's important, and that kind of led us and it guided me the right way.
Most definitely. Now, I enjoy kind of catching you all late night on the digital ESPN threes there, seeing you guys play. Like I said,
Right.
I want to make sure you guys are doing good. For me, when you all play, it's midnight in Atlanta, but I wanted to make sure I support and make sure I checked in on you. But I saw you had it under control. I said, yeah, he's doing a great job out there. I'm happy for him. So I want to tell you, I stayed up late to catch you, man. I did.
I appreciate it. Hey, back when I first got into coaching, I worked at Columbia University in New York City, and obviously I played at St. Mary's, and now my wife and I used to stay up, usually every Thursday and Saturday till about 1:00 in the morning watching the games on the West Coast. So I appreciate you for doing that, and I know it's not easy.
Yeah, man, but I try to show everybody support I can, man. I want to make sure I'm checking on my guys I talk to in the show, man. Make sure you're doing good and make sure you're healthy, man. So I love doing it, man. It was fun, man. It was fun.
Good. I love it.
Now, Coach, let's talk to you about this, man. So the phenomenon of recruiting via Zoom. How was that for you this year? Our guys had different opinions about it. So how was it showing the campus via Zoom, getting to know guys and their families via Zoom and recruiting that way? And that's something you'll continue going forward.
Honestly, I don't love it. I really don't. I really prefer to meet with, these young student athletes and their families in person and get to spend time with them face to face. Is it a little easier? Sure. Is it better? I don't think so. And, as we're able to get back out in the recruiting world, January 1st, as of today, that's something that we're going to take advantage of and kind of go back and pound the streets and make sure we're seeing the guys we need to see and maintaining the relationships we need to maintain. So I really don't love it, but it's obviously a necessary thing for us right now.
Most definitely. Let me ask you this, Coach. So, did it at least expand your reach for you to get the guys maybe you wouldn't be able to get to versus flying to them, going to see them play? Did it help in that regard a little bit for us getting the guys you might not be able to get to originally, kind of stay within a budget of recruiting? How did that kind of help you out a little bit there?
Yeah, for sure. And we do a lot of stuff internationally, so I think that was beneficial that way. Not having to make trips across the water and just doing it, like this. So yeah, in that frame, it definitely made executing some of the recruiting tasks that we have, a little easier.
Now, schedule-wise, I know you play in the West Coast Conference, you don't play so many guarantee games as guys look in different conferences, but how's it kind of schedule games during the quarantine rules in different states and having contracts for MTEs and stuff like this? How's it been trying to get games with the 2 weeks gone that you used to have to play these kind of games? Now, November 25th is the start date. How's that been trying to fit those in along with getting ready for the WCC, which coming up is going to be tough as well?
Yeah, you know what? It's been one of the biggest challenges, to be honest. I thought Jonathan Sapphire, our director of operations, did a really good job this summer getting our schedule put together, and we had some really really good games on there that were going to challenge us and give us opportunities to get important wins in the non-league. And I think one of the unintended consequences of moving the season back those 2 weeks was just blowing up everybody's non-conference schedule. Most of the other teams and coaches that I've spoken to basically started fresh. They had 15 or 13 or maybe 11 non-conference games scheduled, and they've just kind of been building from the ground up. And that's what we've done. And again, in these circumstances, it wasn't easy, but I'm happy with how our non-conference is shaping up. We're going to go out to the Elevate Hoops MTE in Nebraska. We're going to play LSU and Will Wade's group out there, which will be a really, really good game for us, and pick up 2 other games out there. And then, we're going to play at Cal in the non-conference. They're just a 30-minute drive over the Bay Bridge. And we have a couple other games that we're really close to signing that I'm excited about. So we'll get to our 11 non-league games, which is our max here in the West Coast Conference. And, knowing that it's going to be an interesting season and there might be some postponements and there might be some things to shake it up, we feel like we're doing everything we can to give ourselves the best chance to be successful.
Now, Coach, you started an organization here after what's been going on in our country, Coach Coalition for Progress. So how tell me how you had an idea to start that organization. Who was all a part of it, and what are you guys' mission here going forward?
Yeah, you know what? It's one of the things that I'm most proud of over the last 6 months, and really with everything that was going on socially, a lot of the unrest across the country, a lot of the issues that some of the people of our country were having with police officers. And, I just felt like there were a lot of people that were unhappy with the direction that our country was headed. And so I took it upon myself, along with Vinny McGee, who coaches with me here at San Francisco. We got together and we just said, hey, let's do something where we can, focus on bringing people together, and I think that's what really is getting lost right now is there's a lot of division out there in the United States, and whether it's political parties or, beliefs based off religion, racial beliefs, whatever it may be. I'm concerned because I feel like that gap is widening. Mm-hmm. And so what I wanted to do with Vinny and then Carlin Hartman, who's a great dear friend of mine in Oklahoma, and Andrew Cooper, who coaches football up at Washington State, who was the best man at my wedding, and then Kevin Hovde and Jonathan Sapphire from my staff. Our whole focus was, hey, let's try to bring people together and raise some money to give back to our underserved communities and try to level the playing field for some of these young kids growing up who might not have all the resources they need to be successful. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach. We've also had, building community relationships is a big part of our coalition. So we've had police officers from, the Bay Area come and speak to our team and kind of address them in regards to some of the issues that are going on and kind of give their perspective as well. Because, obviously a lot of what we see on TV is the worst of police officers. But there's a lot of great cops as well. And I think it was important for our young men to meet some of those individuals who are putting their lives on the line to protect us. And so they could understand, hey, everything we see on TV is some of that. Is that true? Sure. Are there also great people out there that are protecting us? Yes. And I think it's important that our young men get an unbiased perspective and they're able to make those decisions by themselves. So, really just trying to strengthen those community relationships. We want to get more into the community when, COVID kind of takes more of a backseat, hopefully over the next couple of months. And again, we're excited to kind of donate the money we've raised to some underserved communities with athletic supplies and academic equipment to better serve these young men and women, young boys and girls really, in their academic endeavors as they try to close the gap and give themselves a better opportunity to be successful as they get older.
What I love about sports, Coach Golden, is this: sports brings us together. Like, for me, I was 7 years old. I met my first white kid, to be honest with you. It took travel baseball. It's how I met a white kid for the first time in my life. Living in Atlanta, I didn't meet any white kids until I was 7 years old playing travel baseball. So sports has always, for me, brought me to different cultures, different people, different backgrounds, because sports has been what showed me about life in the world. It got me to go play in college. It's got me in radio. So sports has shown me how to connect with all different kinds of people from all walks of life. And I feel like your organization is so good because you're trying to bring us all together. Because we're more closer than we are apart. That's what people don't realize. We're more closer than we are
No,
apart. And sports is a
no,
good vehicle to bring people together because we all can cheer for that common goal, that common color, that common team to win a game. I feel like he brings us together on so many ways, Coach.
hey, you hit it on the head, brother. And for me growing up, sports was a great unifier. And as you said, I feel like at the age of 35, I've been playing, sports with people that are different than myself my whole life. So I feel very comfortable. I've always had minority teammates, and so I don't really feel like I've ever seen color. But then you go and you look out there in the public spectrum, and you do understand that, all right, there are some people across this country who really have not been around people that don't look like themselves. And so when they see each other, they might not be as comfortable, and they haven't had those experiences. But man, you hit it on the head. Sports is something that is just so important, not only to the identity of the country, but it is a great unifier. It's the great equalizer. It doesn't matter whether you're white, black, yellow, purple. That score is going to start 0-0 at the beginning of the game, and whatever team wins. And it's something that's been great for me as an individual, and now I'm just trying to pass it down to my players and then to people in the younger generation as they come up, and hopefully we can kind of continue to bridge that gap.
Yes, indeed. Like I said, for me, Coach, I've been inspired to use my show as a better platform to talk about social issues and do something for the community. Coach, I'll be honest with you. We got voting here in Georgia going on right now. I'm giving people snacks and drink. When I'm doing interviews, we get out people snacks, drinks, and sitting in line to vote because I think it's that important. Because I want to encourage them that, hey, it's important that you go out here and vote. So I want to help you. Use my show, my sponsor, to help you out by giving you food and drinks while you sit in line. So I've been inspired to use my show as a platform now going forward to help people in this community of Atlanta and beyond because it's that important to me now. 33 years old, Coach. You're 35. We can make a difference in this country. So us millennials do care about the country. We can get the job done for sure.
I mean, what you're saying is so true, JR. And we're doing the same with our group. We made it a mandate within our program for our young men to register to vote. And we're not going to talk to them and try to guide them in regards to which way we want them to vote. But we want to educate them so they understand the value of voting. And that's one of the biggest freedoms we have, right? Is to go out and place our vote for whatever man or woman we feel like is best to sit in that chair, whether it's the presidency or the local elections, which, to be honest, in some cases are more important than the presidential race. And, just for our young men within our program to understand the power that they have, their constitutional right to go out and vote, it's one of the most important things we can do.
Most definitely. I've been so inspired, Coach Golden, by what's been going on in this country. My mom and dad grew up in the 60s, so they was around Martin Luther King, and they was around those marches. So, my parents were from that era. They're in their 70s. So my parents, I was one of those menopause babies, as they say. So I always want to be here. So they're older, so they tell me about the story. So for me to be able to use my platform that I have here and be able to make a difference, Coach, it's so heartwarming. It feels good to be able to help the community, help the city of Atlanta, help the people of Georgia grow and move forward, not get stuck in a rut, and say we can move this situation here forward. Like you said, locals might as well as federal, because mask mandates here in Georgia are not a thing, So you're right. It matters more locally than it does on the federal level, for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and I think it's again, the best we can do is try to educate people within our platform and just create that opportunity and understanding of our rights. And if people choose to take advantage of it, great. And if they don't, that's their decision.
Got that right. Coach Golden, thank you for your time, man. As always, good to catch up with you. I'll be cheering for you again this year. I'll be catching you late night once more, man. Hoping you guys get those wins out there and the WCC, man, for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Hopefully we'll get some earlier games so you don't have to stay up so late this year. But I appreciate you having me on. It's always great catching up with you, man. And reach out if you ever need anything out west, okay?
No, Dave, it's good to see you this time, too. Good to see you. I always talk to you on the phone.
Awesome, bro. Hey, you stay safe out there, okay?
You too now, Coach. Be good, man.
All right. Take care.
All right, now. See you.
Grab a hold of big breakfast flavor at Hardee's. Try 2 breakfast sliders for just $2.99. Get Applewood smoked bacon or freshly grilled sausage with fluffy eggs and golden melty cheese, all on a toasty little bun. Good morning, start at Hardee's. Available now for a limited time at participating restaurants. Tax not included.
All right, folks, back here on the Bossman Show, here with Coach Tick Price of the Lamar Cardinals out of the Southland Conference. Coach Price, how's life treating you guys down there in great Texas, man?
Well, between evacuating, we had two hurricanes to come through. We survived that. And then you had to get out of town because running from the hurricane, between that and COVID-19, basketball season seems to be pretty simple, man.
You got there. Well, I was going to ask you about that. I was asking about the hurricanes that came through there. I know that was a rough time for you guys, and during COVID too, you can't really be congregated together to evacuate. So, how was that whole process dealing with those hurricanes that came through there the last few weeks there?
Well, we had to evacuate for Hurricane Laura, the first one. So that was a week missing our workouts. Then we got back. Then we had to quarantine our guys for like 2 weeks. We had 3 guys exposed, so we had to quarantine them, and then we had a couple tests positive for COVID. So then we had to quarantine the whole team. So we missed 3 weeks of preparation, man, and we know we can't get it all back in one practice, but it really have eaten into our preparation and planning moving forward. So we just got to do the best we can with the idea, one step at a time, one day at a time, and in hopes that by November the 25th, if that takes place, we'll have most of our stuff in, and maybe have a group of guys that we feel that we can trust putting them in a game to put us in a position to win those games.
Coach Price, with those 2 weeks getting cut off of the non-conference schedule, how has it been trying to schedule these games and dealing with quarantines in different states and trying to get guaranteed games, not go too far, knowing you can't really get on airplanes like you want to? So how has that been, trying to get this schedule done with November 25th starting here and 2 weeks getting cut off of that period we can play non-conference games and make money for the university?
Well, you know what? Some of the Power 5 teams have one, cut their guarantees, so we won't get as much money. Some of them have cut those games completely, and so that caused us to scramble. Even right now in November, we still trying to get in October. We still trying to get games for our start date in November, and then we've had maybe a couple D1s that we've scheduled at home. They can't play because they can't afford to test 3 times a week. That's part of the process and us playing our opponents. So we kind of been in scramble mode. So I have quite a few other Division I teams that depend on some of those guarantee games to pay the bills.
I've seen some of them contracts, Coach, and I saw the COVID clauses in them where they pretty much paying you to travel. And like, it's not worth my while is for you to come pay you to play you and it's to travel. I need something to benefit my athletic department. So I don't blame you going for the okie doke, because I sure wouldn't do it. But I've seen some of the contracts, man, they a joke.
Yeah. Well, they have put language in those contracts that protect the teams that's paying teams to come in. One, you got to test 3 times a week prior to that game. And in some cases, some of the Power 5 teams have now gone to having a bubble. And that bubble can affect the date that you may be playing other teams. So with that being said, then you don't get to play maybe some of those Power 5 teams. It's so many things, so many moving parts that's going on right now, man. You have to be flexible. You have to have patience, and you also got to make sure you keep in mind the number one priority, and that's the health and safety of your players.
Most definitely, Coach. Let's go back to March 11th. That's my birthday. When everything kind of went crazy. I'm at the Hawks. Yeah. I'm at the Hawks Knicks game, and I get a text saying the season's gonna be suspended on my birthday. Yeah. I'm working, and then everything kind of goes down the tube here. So where was your team at on doing that March 11th week? Then having to go home virtually, finish out the semester. So how was that, Coach, for you and your staff and your players dealing with being on campus at Lamar? They had been back at home trying to finish out the semester and stay safe.
Well, we were in the midst of playing in the second round of our conference tournament. We just had a good win the night before in the first round against McNeese, and we were getting ready to prepare for Nicholls State the next night. Actually, we were in shoot around, and I got a call from my athletic director that all games would be suspended for the tournament and that we were to go home. And so I immediately huddled my team up and told them we would not be playing the tournament the rest of the way. I felt bad for the seniors. Their whole demeanor looked like you let the air out of them. So they didn't get a chance, man, to at least finish their senior season, a fair chance to compete for a championship. That's what they played hard for. And we were playing well at that time. But again, we got to make sure that those kids are in good health. And that's more important than a basketball. So we packed up, loaded the bus, and headed back to Beaumont, Texas. And at that time, it was spring break. And so I told all of them go home and spend time with their families. When they get back, hopefully we could maybe come up with a solution to COVID-19. That was back in March, and we still haven't come up with a solution.
You got that right. I'm still, hey, unfortunately, Coach, I live in Georgia, live in Texas. Our states don't too much care for science, so we know how it's going right now.
I know, man. It's been a crazy time because you don't know how to plan from day to day. You don't know if your season's going to take place. If a kid catches COVID-19 during the year, then that means that your other players might have to quarantine for 14 days. So now you might have to postpone 3 games because everybody's quarantined, including the coach. So it's going to be a crazy time for us. Hopefully we can have a basketball season. Everybody can stay healthy. They got right now on the table, the officials will have to use a mask to call the game, and they have an electronic whistle to use to call the games. And so there's a lot of things that's going on right now for college basketball.
Now, Coach, for how to keep your guys in shape, did you all send them things over via the Zoom and FaceTime over the summertime and spring to kind of keep them in semi-shape, doing what they can do at home? Some of them have hoops and out in their backyards to be able to get to a gym. Did you all kind of keep them in semi-shape with little exercises here and there with your strength coach, trying to keep them so they won't come back and have those horrible soft tissue or nagging injuries that last all year long?
Yeah, we did. We sent each guy a workout program. And then we asked those guys to send us some video of their workouts. We didn't get all the workouts. Some of them didn't go through, wasn't being pushed to where they need to be so they could be in shape when they got back. So that was an extra burden on us once they get back, and we got to work to get them in shape. And so that's kind of what phase we in right now. They can't play Division I basketball if you're not in good shape. So we're having to put in a few things in terms of what we want to do defensively, some plays that we want to use offensively, but at the same time try to do conditioning as well. And there are other teams going through very similar problems. So this is going to be a very challenging year for us all.
Most definitely. Now, Coach, as far as on the Zoom calls this offseason, how do you use your platform and talk to young men about what's going on in our country? Because I know, I'm in my 30s, your guys in their 20s and their teens. So, knowing what's going on and seeing what's going on with them, how do you use your time with your young men to keep their minds stimulated and engaged and understand that, hey, the problems in our country are coming to roost again and that we ain't make a change about this? And how do you kind of inspire them in that regard?
Well, I can tell them back. I take them back and bring them all the way up to now about how Black folk has been treated unjustly, how hatred has caused parties to not come together but stay apart. And I tell them every day how important it is, one, to vote. Our whole team will vote, just like most teams in the country. We'll take that one day off. I think it's November the 3rd. Use that day with no practice, but take the whole team to vote. And we got all of our guys registered this summer. So we plan to exercise this right. And I also have to give them some education on why you're voting. We have done that. I tell them, vote, the choice is yours, don't vote, and the choice is theirs. And so I try to emphasize to them, your vote is your voice. And we start looking at early voting. November the 3rd, I think it's going to be a lot of folk waiting at last minute to vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to look at the early voting option as well as November 3rd option. But we're all going to vote. That's for sure.
Most definitely. I know here in Georgia, people are waiting 8-9 hours to vote here in Georgia. That's suppression stuff, and it's sad, that I can go. I live in the suburbs, and I can see how quick it is out here in the suburbs. But in the city of Atlanta, they out there and in the rain and the wind and then whatever, 8-9 hours. That's a whole day of work for some people, Coach. That's a day of work for some people. They missing pay just to exercise their right to vote, which I'm glad they're doing it, but it shouldn't be that way. It's sad to say.
Yeah, it is. But, kudos to those people who wait until their time is to vote. If they spend 8 hours, if it takes 10 hours, stay there. Do that because this is probably one of the most important elections in the history of politics. And if we don't vote, then there's a chance that things are not going to get better. Plain and simple.
And I can tell you, Coach, our station here and my show we have sponsors that we're giving people food and drinks and giving them while they're in line and encourage them to stay in line because, like you said, Coach, it's so important. I know you're the age group where my parents are. And I grew up here in Atlanta, we were segregated here in Atlanta. So they told me all about these stories, how they wanted to vote, how they fought the right to vote and, for freedom and segregating schools. So me being in my 30s, my parents told me, I know it's real. And I don't want to see us slip back to the time of my parents when you and y'all were growing up because I know what y'all told me, I know how it is. And I don't want that to happen for my people now. So I'm trying to do that again with this show and our station here to give people food, drinks, keep them encouraging lines so they don't leave. And say that unfortunately, to wait that long, we want to try to help you and encourage you and keep you nourished while you're there.
Well, and while we try to educate our student athletes to vote, we also got to educate them on looking at everything that's going on around us. There are politicians that's trying to suppress the vote by putting only one booth in one whole county. I mean, that's crazy. Or they trying to say to send your vote in the mail, there's a chance that it could be tampered with, or you can vote 2 times, all kinds of negative thoughts. But, don't be discouraged. Let's go ahead and do what we're supposed to do. Let's take care of our business and make sure that our voices are heard.
Most definitely, Coach. Now, Coach, you're going to your 8th year at Lamar. Does it feel like you've been there that long, Coach? They've been there 8 years. Does it feel like it? Is it always flown by for you?
Yeah, it has. I've been real fortunate, man. I'm in a good situation. I work with some good people. My president and AD has been very supportive. Our fans, probably some of the most loyal fans in our conference. I've been surrounded by some good players and that's basically not giving me any trouble off the court. Man, I've been blessed. Every one of the kids that I've coached that have exhausted their eligibility have gotten a degree. So that's 100% graduation rate. To me, that's a blessing, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these kids, they get it. They're trying to prepare for life after basketball, and we're trying to prepare them when they leave school and try to help them. If basketball is not part of their future, they still got their degree and they still can be successful.
Most definitely, coach. And I feel that's the biggest important part is being a student athlete part because that degree can take you places. Because
Yeah.
like you said, for me, the basketball court stopped for me. I ended up getting into the media, right? So that degree helped me to do what I'm doing today. I'm an example of that. So the fact that you care about your young men getting that degree, which is very important, and make them also great husbands and fathers, and as they go through their life journey. I mean, it's amazing, coach, that you've done for young men from your days at Memphis to McNeese, wherever you've been. You've impacted young men's lives, and so I would commend you for that, coach. And I watched you I told you last year, I watched you from afar. I was known about it, but I just want to tell you again, it's amazing to see what you do for young men just like me, who are growing up like me. So I thank you so much for what you do for these young men, coach.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but that's part of the responsibility of being a coach. You don't just coach basketball; you teach them life's preparing with life skills, and hope that when they leave you, they'll be ready for the challenges of life.
Most definitely. And coach, for my listener out here who really don't know about the Southland Conference, like I know about the Southland Conference, tell them about how tough the conference is, coach. Like, you got some great coaches in your conference, great teams. Tell them, listen about how tough this conference is, man, how it's going to be this year. As it is every year. Every night is no easy out.
Man, every night is a fight. We've got some outstanding coaches in our leagues. Take, for instance, Stephen F. Austin, go to Duke last year and walk away with a win. One of the biggest upsets in college basketball. Stephen F. Austin. Not many people go in the Cameron Fieldhouse and walk out of there with a win.
Yes.
Stephen F. Austin did that. But they got some players, and they're well coached. Sam Houston, Jason Hooten has done a good job over there. Year in and year out, they're in the hunt for a championship. Willis Wilson over Texas Corpus Christi, same thing. I mean, we have got a conference where you have got to be prepared, know your scouting report, and you can't take a night off. You're going to leave after that 40 minutes with an L, and that's just the way it is. It's a one-bid league, and so teams play with that kind of chip on their shoulders. They want to make sure they get to the dance. So there's a feel for urgency every time you step between the lines.
And coach, what people really don't realize is outside of Baylor, Texas, and TCU, man, there's some dogs in the other conferences, North Texas, UTEP, UTSA. Yep. I mean, it's some dogs. Texas State down there as well. So Texas has so many great programs, and it's a tough hour in that state every night. The basketball in D1 in Texas is one of a kind. So many schools in one state, man. It's just up and down the state, east, west, wherever you are, it's a tough battle no matter what you're going to do.
Yeah. You got to be able to recruit the state. You got to know people. You got to have some contacts. I think these kids in Texas have, in the past, have gotten out of the state going to other schools, but now they tend to want to stay at home. And so, with that being said, a lot of schools are capitalizing from this. In particular, North Texas, that team has really done well. SMU, they raised their game, man. They're good. TCU, Jamie Dixon has gone over there and turned that thing into a powerhouse. You just never know in the state what team is going to be a dominant team because there's so much parity in the state of Texas in college basketball.
I got for you, coach, is a recruiting question. How's it been to recruit via Zoom and show guys the campus via Zoom and do virtual recruiting? I know you probably want to be in a home with a parent and a kid, but doing it via Zoom, how's the experience been? Is that something you keep doing going forward?
Well, you know what? You have to adjust to the times, man. I personally I like face-to-face interaction with people, sit in the living room with the parents, but that's not possible. And so you got to come up with creative ways on your Zoom call to capture that kid's attention. For instance, you got to have a virtual visit where you take the kid on a campus tour. Now, you got to not just take him on the tour, but you got to make it exciting that you can capture his imagination on that tour. You show them your facilities. Your assistant coaches have got to be able to create an image that speak volumes to a kid. And then, of course, I've got to try to close a deal on a phone call or a Zoom call, and which makes it very difficult.
Most definitely. With Coach Price, well, I'm hoping more guys from the city of Atlanta come your way. They play for you. They'll pick up for a great man, a great coach. So, Coach, thanks for coming on the show again. I'll do this again real soon. I'll be definitely cheering for the Lamar Cardinals and you, man, this year for sure in that conference, man.
Hey, man, I enjoyed seeing you again, man. And look, you ever in Texas, come see us.
Hey, Coach, as soon as I know the schedule with the Hawks, you got
all right, sounds good.
Hey, are you close to Houston or Dallas or San Antonio? Which one are you closest to? Or New Orleans?
I'm close to Houston. I'm about an hour and a half from Houston.
Okay, we get that rocket schedule. I'll let you know, and I'll make that drive over to see you, Coach.
All right, sounds good. You're welcome anytime.
Thanks, Coach Price. Have a good one, buddy.
All right, thank you, man.
No problem. It's Coach Price on the Bossman Show.
Sally Beauty's new all-in-one hair color kits make it easy to color your hair at home. Get everything you need to color for beautifully radiant results. Loved by professionals, open to everyone. Sally Beauty.
All right, folks, back on the Bossman Show with Coach Joe Golden, Abilene Christian Wildcats. Coach, how's life over there in West Texas, man?
Man, we're surviving. We're making it. Each day is a different day. Obviously, we're in this COVID America, and you think you got it figured out one day, and you got a schedule, and the next day everything changes. So, it's the same out here that it is everywhere. We obviously have our cases, and we just honestly, man, just trying to keep our kids safe and keep our students safe that are here on campus, and do everything we can to protect each other.
Coach, can you believe it's going to your 10th year at Abilene Christian? Can you believe it, man? Has it flown by for you?
I'm telling you what, look at me now. Since you met me a couple of years ago, I've aged a bunch, man. This coach, there's got to be a better profession out there.
Look good to me, Coach. Look good to me, buddy.
Words of wisdom. Don't ever take a job that transitions to Division I, man. It will age you quick. But I actually just had my 45th birthday yesterday, so I'm very fortunate. We all know in coaching, man, you don't have the opportunity usually to come back to the place you played at, and then B to stay long at a place. It's just in the world we're living in today in athletics, sometimes you don't get a long tenured at a place. And so I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to raise my family and to coach at a place that I went to school. And it's I wouldn't say it's flown by. Those first 5 or 6 years were tough and long, and a lot of butt whoopings. But the last 3 years has been very enjoyable.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine the transition from D1 to D1 from where you coming from. I can only imagine that. I'm be talking to Coach Judkins at Cincinnati State. I'm gonna talk to him about that next week. So I can only imagine what all that goes through. You can't go play tournaments. You got your limited. Trust me, Coach. You made through that tunnel for sure.
Tell him not to call me, man. I don't got any advice. I put that away.
I sure will, man. I sure will, man. So, Coach, I'll tell you off the air about, for me in March 11th was my last day working, Knicks Hawks game, and I know it's around time you guys have tournaments. So that whole week, how was it for you guys going from preparing for a tournament to going home and not coming back until just recently now? And so how did that whole process go for your team going from in that mode of playing to at home and not knowing what the next step is going to be?
Yeah, it was very difficult. The hardest thing I think I've had to do with the team, and it was I don't know if we did it right, to be honest with you. I don't know if anybody knew what was going on. We just tried to stay in the moment with our players, and we didn't know anything, just like I don't think the country had any idea of what, we went to bed. We actually got down to our conference tournaments in Katy, Texas. We finished second in the league, so we got the double bye. So we weren't going to play until, I guess, Friday. So we got down there Tuesday night. We're going to practice. Or maybe we got down there Wednesday, was going to practice Thursday. And then that night is when the NBA shut down. You could kind of see it happening, and then they canceled the games and everybody was leaving. So you knew going to bed that night that it just wasn't going in the right direction. And then we actually had games being played that day with fans.
Oh, wow.
And they had told us the next day that there was going to be just family involved. The pastor wasn't going to allow the whole general public into the tournament. But then that morning, you could see the big Power Fives were starting to cancel. And so at that point, we kind of knew where this was headed. We were actually headed to practice, and we never got on the bus. We ended up calling everybody down to the hotel, to our conference room, and we just had a meeting, and we were just honest with them, Bossman. We just told them we didn't know what was going on, but that obviously this season was probably over. We weren't going to play obviously the conference tournament. We didn't think there was going to be any postseason. And it was real emotional, for those seniors. I think it was the first time ever when you're a senior, you either, 15 kids probably win the last game, in Division I, but everybody else, you put that uniform on, and when you take it off after you got beat, that's the last time you're ever going to put that uniform on. And our seniors didn't have the opportunity to do that, so we let them address our team and kind of told, they were able to share stories of their journey and everything they had done in our program, and kind of celebrated those seniors, because I kind of felt then that they had played their last opportunity. So it was emotional. I felt for those kids. You put so much at our level in a one-bid league. Everything goes into that 1 week in March.
Yes, indeed.
To have the opportunity. So we have all, as a staff and players, had worked hard, and then all of a sudden it's taken away. But obviously they made the right decision. Looking back now on what we're all having to deal with, it was the right decision. And we came back and we got our team back here, and we actually had just gotten an email from our president that said that we were going to have an extended week for spring break. So we told him, hey, you never had spring break in the last couple of years, so go have fun. We'll see you in a week, and we'll regroup here and figure it all out. And, that was the last time we saw him again until mid-July. So it all happened fast. It was very difficult to deal with, and obviously we missed seeing our guys. I had no idea we wouldn't see them again until July, and nor did I think right now, on October the 16th, we would still be dealing with it like we are. So it's been crazy times.
I told you, Coach, I haven't left Atlanta since March, so I haven't left town since March, man. So I can't go see anybody practicing right now because they're not letting media in, or they're not letting guys on just who do you know in. So if you're not part of the program, you can't go check out practice right now. So I like to go look at practices. I can't go do that right now because of course, the virus. I can only imagine not seeing guys off spring break, and all of a sudden, July, hey, now I see you again. Like, you didn't sign up for that for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been really difficult, but it was great to see him in July. Obviously we enjoy, if you're in this business, you enjoy being around kids and building relationships and turning these guys into men. And when all of a sudden it's taken away from you, I think we take each day for granted. We definitely learned around here that you can't do that, and so it was great to get them back here. And we've been fortunate that our university has come back in person here in the fall. And so it looks different, obviously. Everybody's got masks on, and there's social distance classrooms, and there's obviously it doesn't have the same feel, but at least it's good to see some energy back around campus.
Now, Coach Golden, and looking at you academically, how was that for your young man going from being in person to virtual? 'Cause I know that's hard for a young man who's not used to that, going at your own home on your own devices, the new environment. So how's it academically for your young man trying to finish that semester out in the spring there, being back home?
Well, first of all, if you and I were smart on March 11th, we'd have bought some stock in Zoom, man. And I probably wouldn't be coaching here anymore. I'd be out on had my beach bar already out it'd be done coaching. But, here's a funny story on that too. We told our guys, they had an extra week of spring break. And so once we found out we were going all online to finish it, I would say, the majority of our guys left all their books and everything here. And so we had to mail their books to them. We had to get them all their supplies, and of course they had their phone and their laptop. They don't go anywhere today, without that. Right. So we had to deal with that, and then just getting them out of their dorms, all their. I mean, it was just it was a mess. But our staff did a great job of getting that to them, and then we just basically would touch base with them through Zoom, and then obviously they did their classwork on Zoom, and it was definitely different than anything they've been through. But our professors did a really good job of here with some patience with our guys and with the rest of the student body as well. And we were able to survive it. Our guys were all able to academically be great. We had a great semester. We're able to navigate and figure it out. But I think every university did a great job. they were different probably on how they did it, but our guys were able to survive and do it. We'd have to call them in the morning, still like always, and make sure they got up, and we'd have to check and make sure that they were on Zoom and they weren't laying in bed without their video on. We'd make them turn their video on the Zoom, and so I think moms and dads got also had the opportunity to see what we deal with every day. Making sure. So I think that probably helps us now when we call in. They know what we're dealing with.
You got that right. And then that coach, now you got back in July. So how's that been trying to get the guys ramped back up? Because you don't have those soft tissue injuries and you have nag all year long or get a knee or an ankle or something that just never goes away. So how's that ramp up being, getting the guys back in shape so they can get ready for November 25th here coming up in a month or so here?
Yeah, I think we're still trying to navigate it and figure that out because it's different than it's been any season. But I do think we're trying to be careful with that. In July, we were real careful. We got them back, just slowly progressing to getting back. We did a lot of group work and a lot of individual work, and we didn't just throw them right back into it. And we've kind of done the same thing in the fall. We started out the first couple of weeks doing a bunch of group work and then slowly went to some 5-on-0 and then just recently started doing more 5-on-5 action and playing. And so the difficult part of it is navigating, if guys are out because of tracing, the contact tracing deal and just, how many guys do you have available for practice? But to your point, usually we're amped up right now because we're ready to go here early November. And now we're not getting started till late November. And, I think you have to be really careful, especially if we're able and fortunate to get the season in. That's a lot of basketball now, all the way straight through to March. So, and these guys haven't hooped, like you said, since March. It's been a long time. And these guys, hoopers hoop. It doesn't matter if they're right. You're at the YMCA, you're at the rec center, the outdoor park, you're hooping somewhere. And these guys haven't had the opportunity to do that. Even in Abilene, Texas, they took the goals down, at the city parks. And there ain't a whole lot of hoopers here in Abilene, I can promise you. So when they're doing that, I can imagine across the country that, these kids didn't have the opportunity to go anywhere and play. So, really the last 2 or 3 weeks since we started going 5-on-5 was the first time that these guys have had the opportunity to do that since March. So I think you got to be careful. We want to stay injury free, and obviously we want to play our best basketball in February and March. And so we're making adjustments. I don't think we'll do it perfect, but hopefully we'll navigate that as the season goes along.
Now, how was kind of coach guys on Zoom just during the spring and summer here about going over the concepts, the different defenses showing the film? So how was that having them on video kind of see how they're looking at you, practice you, the coach when you go over a different defense or offense? How was that this summer?
Yeah, it was definitely unique and different. I actually told our guys that once it started to see it progressing that way that we weren't going to be back for a while. I told our guys, listen, I want you to spend time with your families. You don't ever get this opportunity, to go back home and spend time with your mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, everybody. Have fun. And obviously use this time to really unite, and stay safe during that time. And we kind of left them alone, Bossman. We didn't, do a ton of Zooms with them. We obviously stayed on top of them academically. But besides that, we kind of left basketball away. I just wanted them to get away from basketball, stay safe, and spend time with their family. The longer it went, it was like, I don't know if I should have said that, because there comes a point in time where you gotta do some stuff, especially for your new players, your freshmen, and your new junior college players. You want them to feel comfortable. So we obviously got into more of that. It was different. It was unique. I feel now that we're comfortable on Zoom now, but back then it was really different, and you never. You didn't know if you didn't get that close to the camera, back up, how you talk.
Yes.
It's just to get used to it. So it took time. I'll tell you one thing that we've struggled with. We're really big on building relationships in our program. We try to do it every day, man. That's something that we do daily, and that's made it difficult with the COVID, with the Zoom. Even though we're speaking to them daily, you just don't have that hands-on interaction. It's not.
Yes.
And even now that they're back. We can't do team functions. We can't do all the stuff that we usually do because of the COVID stuff and having to be 6 feet apart all the time. So that's made it really difficult for us, and we've had to navigate that because I think that's one of the most important things we've done here is really, really build relate. And people talk about that, Bossman, all the time, building relationships, and it kind of drives me crazy because the coaches out there that truly do it, man, it's hard, man. You got to do it every single day.
Yes.
And our kids are going to see through it, and we really take a lot of pride in that. We coach our kids really, really hard on the floor, but we love them harder off of it. And we've had to navigate that and make some adjustments. That's been tough for us.
Speaking of some of your guys who came in new, talk about some of your key returners and some of your newcomers as well, Coach. We want to keep an eye on this year for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We were fortunate in the recruiting this year in the spring. We returned 10 guys off last year's team, and so we were able to put back-to-back 20-win seasons together for the first time in school history, and we're returning 10 of those players. And we'd already signed 3 guys early, so we didn't have to recruit any in the spring. So we were very fortunate.
Yes, indeed.
In that during this COVID time. So we're happy. We're excited about our team. We got a lot of pieces back. We have, I think, out of 10 guys back, 9 guys played extended minutes for us. We have obviously 4 out of 5 starters back. The one player that left us, Peyton Ricks, a senior, he was the first team all-league player and was our leading scorer. So it's not the same team back, but we do have the majority of our group back. And so we're excited about that. And then we added 4 freshmen to our program. So we've 2 big kids, one from Minnesota and one from Oklahoma, and then a guard from Hebron outside of Dallas. So we're excited about those freshmen. I don't know if we're going to need them to play immediately. I think in time, though, that they will be ready. But the good thing is we don't have to rush that. I think we have enough guys back that we can take our time with these freshmen and kind of navigate. And I think that helps them, too, during this time period of the COVID stuff, that we can really, take our time and be patient with those guys and not have to throw them in. So we're excited about it. We pray every day. I'm hoping that we'll have a season. I know our kids want to play. They're hungry to get back out there and compete. And we're excited about the season, and we're excited about our team.
What I love about your roster, Coach, is this, that you can see you have 9 guys returning, which tells me this year going to be about continuity. You got to have guys who know your system, because if you've been together for a while and you're playing to this year with the offense going around you, having that continuity is going to be very key. That's why I look at your roster. I'm like, yep, Coach Golden got something nice there, because he got guys who know the system. Not trying to teach them on the fly here. Yeah,
and I think this year that's real important. To your point, I think just the continuity and knowing what we have in that locker room, and in a year like this, I think that you would think the teams that have so many new pieces, that they would struggle this time of year, just because we haven't had enough time on the floor with these guys that we usually have. And so we're very blessed to have a big group back. And we've got a lot of guys on. We have a 5th-year senior. We have 2 juniors that played a ton as freshmen on that NCAA tournament team. So we've got a lot of experience in that locker room that I think will help us early in the season navigate this, because there's going to be adversity. There's going to be things that happen.
Definitely.
You did it in the NFL. You saw it in the NBA. Actually, the NBA did a great job. But you've seen it with college football. There's going to be adversity. You're going to be ready to play, and it's going to get canceled, and you're going to have to handle that. And hopefully with some maturity on our team and some upperclassmen, that they can handle that type of stuff.
Now, Coach, being in Texas, you can probably play anybody you want to non-conference wise and still raise the money you need for your university. So how has it been losing those 2 extra weeks to play those guaranteed games and play non-conference games, maybe MTE here or there? So how has that been, trying to put a schedule together with the 2 weeks being moved up to November 25th here?
Yeah, it hadn't been a whole lot of fun. It's we're definitely going to be short on the guaranteed money that we need to get each year. And our athletic director and myself, we, in our relationship, we have a number that we try to get to every year, and we're not going to be able to get to that. The money's just not out there. We're having to navigate this. Obviously, we threw our schedule in the trash can once they announced it, like I think everybody else did, and we lost our MTE and we lost a bunch of games, and so we've had to navigate that. And we've tried to put together the best schedule we could for our guys. We're fortunate to get an MTE, a really good one out in Florida. And so I think it's going to be a bubble type of situation out there where everybody's going to get tested and have to stay in the bubble. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get those games in out there. And then when we come back from Florida, from the opening bubble, we never leave Texas again. We're always on a bus from that point and staying right here. So, we're having to play some non-Division I games that we, to try to fit those in just to get teams to be able to play. We were fortunate to get Arkansas and Texas Tech. I don't know if we were fortunate or unfortunate. There's 2 ways to look at that.
I think you're fortunate because your team will give them all some trouble. You give them trouble. It sucks for them, not you.
Yeah. So, obviously Arkansas, Bossman's done a great job there, and he's going to be really good. And Coach Beard's done a tremendous job at Texas Tech. So, and then we're actually going to play Tarleton, who's just down the street right now. This will be their first year to go Division I, so with Coach Gillespie. So, hopefully we'll get as many of those games in, but we're trying to keep our guys in safe environments at the same time, and trying to make it to conference season, obviously in January, with our whole team healthy and ready to compete.
That's what I got for you, Coach. Is give us a story about our mutual friend Brian Burton. Let's give me something about Coach Burton, man. That's my buddy too, man. Tell me a little something about Brother Brian Burton here, Coach Goldie.
I'll tell you what, Bossman, we could do a whole show on Brian Burton, man. I don't know if he'd like all the stuff we could air out there, man, but I think we could raise the ratings a little bit, man. So do it. But, Burton's been a great friend of mine for a long time, and we worked together at Collin County. He was actually the assistant. I was actually just a radio guy, TV guy, trying to make enough money to survive, to get in the business at that time. And when I got the job here back at Abilene Christian, Brian came on with me. He was actually already here with Grant McCaskin, and I kept Brian on. And Brian was a part of the early transition here. That was it was, obviously some of the hardest days in our profession of coaching. And then Brian went on and moved to Lamar, and then Fresno State, to UTEP. And then we're honestly, I'm as proud of Brian as I've ever been in our friendship of knowing each other, is what he's done over the last 6 months. I think he's really kind of found his niche. I told him that a couple months ago, and then I saw the other day where he is kind of going to go full time in the next 6 to 8 months with I think it's Rising Coaches. I believe is what it is. But he's just done a tremendous job of bringing coaches, media guys, everybody together during this COVID deal, and he's brought up a lot of important topics, that need to be talked about, and it's been unbelievable for me to watch him shine in that arena, and he knows he's connected to so many people. He's got a great personality. He's just done a tremendous job, and I've been fortunate to be on a couple of those Zoom calls where I've had the opportunity to listen and learn to some incredible people on that. And then I've also just gone on his Zoom calls, where he's had some different things. And it's been great for me as a head coach to listen and learn on that. But obviously I take a lot of pride too of what Brian's doing. I think he's changing lives. He's changing the way people think. He's open discussion. At the end of the day, I'm sure you've had these talks all the time on Zoom, and we're with the COVID and the social injustice stuff that's going on. It's just an important time in our country. And at the end of the day, we got to love each other, and we got to continue to educate people that might not believe the way you and I and Brian believe, but we got to listen, and we got to continue to educate those guys and love them. And it's hard to do during COVID when you can't be transparent with that and face to face, but he's obviously got an avenue. I know you've done probably a ton of it in your avenue with your radio show. And so just proud of him and everything he's done with that.
Yeah, Coach, we've been out here with the early vote here in Georgia. We've been giving people food and drinks and snacks while they stand in line, because, the vote here is kind of long because of the laws here. But, we've been trying to keep people encouraged and giving them food and water. So me and my sponsors have been going out, doing that early in the morning, do afternoon runs. I'm going to get off his call here. I'm going to do that right here as well on Friday. So we're working hard, Coach, trying to make it just like our community, because I know I'm 33 years old, so I got to use the platform I have to use it for good, Got to do that, man.
No, there's no doubt we got to get the vote out, and we got to – I've learned more about voting than I've ever just like COVID, I didn't know. And getting our whole team, we got every one of our guys signed up to vote. We're not making them vote. We're going to take November 3rd off to give them the opportunity to vote. A lot of our guys had to mail in vote because they obviously don't live here in Texas, but we wanted to give every kid the opportunity to vote. We're encouraging them to vote. I think it's getting this generation to learn that, and it starts in your community, then obviously it goes national, but just getting them to interested in the issues, knowledgeable about the issues and different candidates. And then also at the same time, their right to vote is very, very important. And so, this young generation's awesome, man. They're going to change the world. They obviously, it's a different world than I was brought up in with the social media stuff. I'm still learning the Twitter and everything else that's going on out there. But these guys, man, they're doing some incredible things, man. And I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of every team across the country that you see on Twitter that's doing stuff. I'm proud of all you guys for continuing to share the message and the story. And hopefully we can make this world a better place to live in.
Coach Goldie, like I said, better myself, buddy. Hey, man, stay safe out there in West Texas, man. And like I said, hopefully I can get out of the house here real soon, but I can escape. They sit
Hey,
here loud finally.
you're gonna have to catch a game sometime. And I was coming to Hotlanta, man. I was ready for the Final Four, and we were gonna meet. But I'm gonna get down there one time and go to dinner with you. I can't wait, man.
Same here, Coach. Hey, buddy. Hey, Beast, talk to you real soon. Have a great weekend, man.
All right, thanks. Appreciate all you do.
You're welcome. It's Joe Golden on the Bossman. So people, check them out. West Texas, Abilene Christian people.